This is the former and five-time World Madden champ, Jordan 13-8, and you're listening to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix.
That is right, Jordan. Thank you so much. It is Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, 7:32 p.m. sharp. It is a rainy, soggy Tuesday. But hello, everybody, and a welcome to the 159th edition of the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of the lovely hosts, the Garlic Johnson, and that breathy son of a gun on the other side is our other lovely host, the Josh Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks out there.
Hi, folks. Just letting everyone know I'm alive.
People were concerned, dude. They couldn't wait the full 40 seconds to know. We appreciate everyone who interacts with us in our Discord. You know, just looking at it right now, I always have the chat up for the show. Titan was popping off on Monday night. Walters was in there spouting nonsense. Al's always in there. We appreciate you guys for chatting along, and we hope you continue to do so as we enjoy this football season. Segment start times are down in the description below, but we'll get to in a second why they won't matter nearly as much today. Thank you at Levi Oki Illustration for all the beautiful art you can see. That beautiful man just turned 32 years old over the weekend. Sunday, I believe, was the day, so big shout out to him. Yeah, Josh, how you doing, pal?
Doing? How are you, Gar?
I'm doing all right. Had a good weekend. Had a Halloween party to go to. That was good. Sunday was a little rockier. Just didn't have the Vikings to play. Didn't have something to rock, to set me in. I didn't have a good foundation on Sunday. I was just wandering. I was like, what do I do? My team's not playing. But things worked out in the end. Went on a nice little walk the last couple days. That felt good. Vikings won somehow Monday night. It's
what?
It's not, again, I already put it in the chat, dude. Vikings are jobbers. Jobbers can't just lose all the time, otherwise beating them is not important. So it's all part of the bigger tinfoil hat scheme I've been talking about since the preseason, dude. And for the last couple seasons, honestly. So, but yeah, Josh, I know.
So you'll be in there for pick 15, 16, 17?
Oh, dude, that's our prime position, dude. Are you kidding me?
Needed water.
Ask me a question and then just chug a lug. How about you, Josh? I mean, we'll get into the regular show in a second, but tonight's show's going to be a little different. We can take a little bit more at the beginning of the show. You had mentioned on the Saturday show how, your life or your week would be ruined if you lost to fucking that Sean Payton, dude. Well, here we are.
Yeah, we had some self-meditation and reflection time on Sunday evening after the fact, and yep, I'm no longer a citizen of Big Lake. They have decided to cast me out, and so I live in an overpass. And yeah, no, it was one of those moments where when you know how you just get that feeling in your gut makes the rumblies when you see a play get lined up and you go, this is not going to work. I had that feeling on a field goal. When Anders Carlson missed that 42-yarder, I was like, when they were lining up, I was like, he's going to miss this. It was just bubbling up, and I was like, yep, that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the day.
Oh, no, Josh. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. It's, do you think you recovered now, or do you still kind of feeling like this even 2 days later?
You just had to get the sounder in, didn't you?
Sure did.
Yep. No, I'm recovered. I'm back. I'm back on the whole, top 5 pick. Let's draft a generational talent, since every year there's a generational talent. It seems.
Allegedly.
Just so we can ruin them. But yeah, let's do that.
All right. And just to be clear earlier, you said self-meditation and not self-medication, right?
Yes, meditation.
Okay. Proud of you. But as we've alluded to a couple times already, tonight's show is going to be just a little bit different. We are exactly halfway through the fantasy regular season for almost everyone. Almost everyone starts their playoffs in week 15. So 15, 16, 17, that means the regular season is 14 weeks long, and we just finished week 7. So if I'm doing the ipso facto, carry the 3, we are halfway through the fantasy regular season. So we're going to do the show a little bit different tonight. There's going to be no fire in your gut. There's going to be no Josh rhyming wrap-up. There's going to be no I'm trash, although I'm sure I'll be able to hit the Sounders a couple times.
You're just like me. Trash!
But with that said, Josh, we'll just jump right into the weekly recap then, and then we've got some other things for after the show, or not after the show, but after that segment. Josh, how did you do in fantasy this past week? Obviously, it was tough to watch the Packers lose. You had been maybe on a bit of a schneid in fantasy. You weren't doing so hot on the start sits on Saturday morning. You weren't doing so hot in your fantasy leagues. How did you do this last week? Have we turned it around so that people start listening to you again?
Well, I did go 7-2 this week. My only two losses were in Victoria's Secret, where I once again lost to my opponent and lost to the median. So that I started off hot with a I was 5-0 against my head-to-head matchups, but overall I'm 7-7 now since we play against the spread. But in all my leagues, I am 40-23 with a 63.49 win percent. Using the intellectual property of Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated, I am at 234-151 with 60.78%.
Hey, that's pretty good. All your leagues are above 500 except for the Victoria's Secret.
I'm at 500 in that one. Yep.
Right. Well, you're at 500. I was talking about the intellectual property. Sorry, down here. That one's below. Yeah. If you were to play every team every week, so team a little bit below average. But I mean, yeah, if you're looking at just your what do I call it? Your record based on how it reads in the app, you're doing great in every league. So look at you go. Well, I guess except for BSB. But yeah, Josh, moving on to me. This is my first week, or my worst week since week 2. And I guess it ties week 1 and week 2. I went 6-4 this week, so still above 500 as the records read. 6-4, could do better. Lost again in my most expensive league, and again I had a bad beat. Last week I lost in that league, beating 9-2. This week I would have beat 10 teams and only lost to the one team who had a higher score than me. So a couple bad beats back to back. That's tough. But overall, in the head-to-head / median matchups, I'm 51-19. So I'm batting a 7-9. So that's pretty dang good. Going down to the intellectual property, Josh Allen Bunker Incorporated, I would have gone 73-33 this week. So pretty good. My worst performance would have been 5-8, and then I had a 4-5 in there. Otherwise, I was above 500 in every league. Going on the whole season, I'm 5-19-266, so I'm batting 661 there. So I'm still looking pretty good. Similar to you, only have one league that's below 500, and that's the HO Dynasty League. Can't imagine that after tanking for 3 years, my team didn't just blossom into a beautiful butterfly the way I predicted. It's tough when you got powerhouses like you and Connor and Derek who have had good teams for seemingly 5 years straight. I'm going to need you guys to stop doing that. But yeah, so I'm doing a little bit better than Josh, but there's a long season yet to go, and we'll talk tonight about. So
you'll be doing a lot better than me.
What's that?
So you'll be doing a lot better than me later on.
We'll see. We'll talk about some of the players that maybe have benefited, why I've done so well to start the season. Then we'll get into maybe, what people can do to finish the season if players start turning it around here. And some fantasy players have a good second season or a second half push. But that's how I'm doing. That's how you're doing, Josh. In the FanDuel this week, our top performer was the birthday boy, Mr. Levi Oki. He dropped a 130 bomb, specifically 130.28. Derek was right behind him with 123.8 on his wedding week, which I guess is upcoming wedding week, but Sunday to Friday, it's the same week, whatever. Sunday's the start of the week for a lot of people, right? And then Skybusters, shout out to Brad's dad, 117.54 in third for the week. Looking to the top 3 leaderboard, Levi Oki, the birthday boy, leads again there. He was in first last week, and he remains in, he was in first last week, and he remains in first this week, having increased his top 5 scores by about 20-ish points. He now sits at 632.04. Derek is new to the top 3 this week with that 123 performance. He sits at 618.4, and I hold my ground in the top 3. I increased my base score by about 10. I'm now sitting at 615.82. I know it's a close race. I know there's 11 weeks left in that specific competition, so a lot of ground to go. But right now we got Levi on top, and I don't know. I don't think anyone suspects that man to win anything. So we'll see if he can hold on. Josh, what do you think his odds are?
Well, he's got a very consistent scoring base, where as does Derek. You're sitting down 15, 16, 17 less than him with a couple weeks or 1 week under 100 still on your docket, and a couple under 110. Carmel doesn't have any under 110 on his top 5 contests. Derek has one as well. So Carmel, he's gonna, if he can keep throwing up 130s, he's got 3 130s. But you've got the 2 150s. So if you hit another massive week, it'll be tough for people to catch you. But yeah, we have 3 people nipping at your heels over 600, so only 14 points behind. One of them being me.
Yeah, fucking in your dreams, pal.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so yeah, it's a close race. It'll be fun.
All right. And so we're only 10 minutes into the show. Normally we'd be getting into our last about 8 or so minutes, but we still got 20 minutes to go. And instead of the actual hog market, I'll still ring the bell just in honor. But instead of buying and selling today, actually, we'll be looking at who has already been bought and sold, specifically based on the ADP. Obviously, there's been plenty of free agency throughout the last 7 weeks of fantasy football. Plenty of players have been dropped and added. But I think it's fair to say that a good indicator of at least the first half of the year's success is drafting well. And so we're going to look at who have been some of the hogs, who have been some of the people that you want to eat everything on the pig except the squeal, and be like, yep, that person is why, Josh is, 5-2 in this league. This person is why Gar's been carried to, a 6-1 record in this league. We'll be looking at us. We'll be looking at other people. Then we'll be looking at some of the disappointments. Like, okay, well, this guy obviously stunk. He shouldn't have been drafted anywhere near this ADP. Hindsight being 2020, and so we'll be, rooting out some of the fried fat as well. And so, Josh, I don't know if you have a preference. Would you rather just kind of go down the list of fantasy pros? Would you rather look at our Hidden Oaks redraft draft board? We're not going to go, we're not going to analyze every name, of course. We'll just kind of go, until we see a name in order that's noteworthy. The first round was, it is what it is. But which would you rather do, the Hidden Oaks draft board or the fantasy pros just ADP list? Last updated September 5th.
Well, you see here, Gar, I actually took a little bit of time and put together a slideshow.
Okay.
No, if you go to the Fantasy Fun Time, I just added sheet 25 in there. That'll have the top 5 quarterbacks, top 10 running backs, and top 10 wide receivers.
Okay.
And their 8 and where they were drafted. So going down the list at quarterbacks.
Never seen you put so much effort into a show.
Yeah, a lot of copying and pasting. Got a little bit of a cramp in my left thumb, but it's okay.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm still tougher than Deshaun Watson. But,
and that's a big deal for the people who don't know. Josh is a southpaw, which everyone who listens should know, but a cramp of the left thumb's a big deal for him.
Yeah, I had to call him to work for the next 6 weeks.
It's okay. You got the time.
But Josh Allen is a number 1 quarterback in fantasy. He was drafted in the 3rd round at the 2nd pick by you. He was also, I believe, the 4th quarterback off the board, 3rd quarterback off the board. So he's averaging 25 points per game with 175. Jalen Hurts is the 2nd quarterback. The quarterbacks kind of shook up to be kind of how you'd expect it. The only big shocker was, or not shocker, but kind of beating his ADP is Tua Tagovailoa, who is the 5th best quarterback. He was drafted in the 8th round. The rest of the top 5 were all drafted in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah, like you said, no real surprises here. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, like those guys were some of the top 4. Joe Burrow has obviously disappointed, but he could have a great second half of the season. I'm just trying to look at other quarterbacks in the top here that might have been.
I mean, it's kind of rough because some of them are on bye weeks or have had their bye weeks. Some of them haven't.
Justin Fields obviously has been a big disappointment. Sorry.
Yeah, so like if you sort by average, Justin Herbert's in the top 10 because he had his bye week already.
Sure.
Kirk Cousins is not in the top 10, or not. Justin Herbert's in the top 5 at number 4. Kirk Cousins is in the top 10. Yeah, but then like Justin Fields, even by average, he's not in the top 10. Yeah, it's not a good pick there. I don't know when I can't do multitasking. Deshaun Watson.
Justin Fields was taken in our 4th round, if that's what you're trying to get at.
Yep, there we go. Deshaun Watson, I think, was the next quarterback after that in the 6th round.
Yep, that's been a wolf from a fantasy perspective for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Trevor Lawrence, he's had some up and down weeks. He was the next quarterback after that. But for the people who waited, Derek, I think,
Yeah,
Russell
Derek
Wilson.
waited until the very end. He took Russell Wilson and Anthony.
Yeah, and so I don't have my quarterback on my team that I drafted anymore.
Dude, you didn't go with the Ranges pick of Aaron. Oh, that's right. You were influenced by the Range. You took Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. He lasted a solid 4 plays for me. But I do have the Brock Purdy, so the Brockness monster. So the quarterbacks, kind of no big surprises, I guess, is kind of what we just had a long-winded answer for.
Right. I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's just like, I think it's kind of what we were talking about in the preseason, though. It's that, quarterbacks, I think, are becoming increasingly more important, right? Like, I wish, maybe we can do it the next coming weeks, but that kind of those fantasy genius stats you put out, I'd be interested looking over the first 7 weeks, like how many wins has Josh, if Josh Allen is on your team, how likely are you to win? If Jalen Hurts is on your team, right? So I think that's kind of the point, a couple people, like, there's it's a small segment for sure. Most people still suggest wait on quarterbacks, but there's definitely a subsection of the fantasy community that's saying, quarterbacks are actually proving to be pretty dang important, at least these past couple of years statistically. So maybe you start, you make sure you get that Patrick Mahomes, you make sure you get that Josh Allen, because that's going to really impact your fantasy season, So, that's what's going to be interesting to me is like looking at it now, looking at the end of the season, our QB, do you have to take an early QB now? Is fantasy just changing fundamentally, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Moving on to the running backs, if we want to do that. Top 10. Top name probably isn't going to surprise a whole lot of people. It is CMC. He is 25 points ahead of the next highest running back, Raheem Mostert. Both people owned by the same owner in our league.
Ladies. Got Raheem Mostert in round 9. Thank you very much.
I was going to say, though, that's the running backs is kind of where you see kind of the first stud versus their ADP. So CMC, Raheem Mostert, Travis Etienne is number 3, Kyron Williams is number 4, though that's going to change now that he is on the IR. Zach Moss is 5, DeAndre Swift is 6, Kenneth Walker is 7, Isaiah Pacheco is 8, Devontae Chain, despite not playing the last 3 weeks, is 9. That's what I said. And then Bijan Robinson, headache and all, is rounding out the top 10 running backs.
Dang, son. All right, so just looking at number 2 here, Mostert. His ADP was 114. He was running back 40, according to Fantasy Pros here. That pulls from Sleeper and one other source. So, I mean, that was absolutely insane value for me and anyone else who took him. Kyron Williams, like you mentioned, he was taken in round 11 by, who was it, Willie? Doesn't matter. What's his ADP on this thing? Kyron. His ADP was 257. He probably went undrafted in a bunch of leagues. Like, that's league winning potential right there. And Raheem Mostert, who knows if he can keep it up, especially when Achane comes back. But, oh boy, Josh. Well, I guess what name surprises you the most? And which name do you wish you had more shares of on your team looking back?
So Kyron Williams and Zach Moss kind of surprised me the most, but with injuries and then JT coming back, that's a big thing. Raheem Mostert's definitely up there just because they did have Devon Achane. Other than that, not seeing names like Barkley, even though he'd been hurt. Alvin Kamara had been hurt. I mean, he was
suspended, yeah.
Or suspended, yeah. Sorting by the average points per week, Alvin Kamara is the 3rd running back. Saquon Barkley is still just kind of hanging on that top 10. David Montgomery is a big shock at being, where he is dependent because he was probably a late draft pick. But then guys like Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, who granted had been hurt, but still is only averaging 14 points per game when he plays. Derrick Henry, those guys are kind of the big ones.
I mean, for the record, I did take David Montgomery at the end of our 6th round, so not that late. But if I were to look up in this Fantasy Pros ADP, no.
Well, I would say he's a good surprise being a top 10, 11 running back.
Right. I'm just saying he wasn't picked that late. I guess, according to Fantasy, I must have taken him early, I guess. According to Fantasy Pros, he was running back 31. I guess his ADP was 76. That's probably about right. I'm not going to go through the math of what, the end of our 6th round is in picks, but yeah, I think I appreciate the David Montgomery take as well. Do you think so? Looking at kind of Bijan went to sometimes in the first round, mostly the first and second round for sure. Do you think he's disappointing being at 10? Obviously, he had if he had not missed last week with a headache, or maybe he's got the Percy Harvins dude. But do you think Bijan is disappointing being that low based on where he was drafted? Because like you said, we're missing a lot of the top running backs in this list, CMC, and then it's a bunch of guys people didn't expect to be this high.
Well, I would say yes. Granted, he is like we said, he's the 10th highest scoring running back in total points right now. But he's also the only running back in like the top 30 that doesn't have a rushing touchdown. Maybe, I scrolled all the way down to Alexander Madison, who got one yesterday, I believe, right? No, he did not.
There you go. I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, because this would say he got one. But yeah, so he doesn't have that touchdown production. He has 2 receiving touchdowns, but so he's not touchdown dependent. So I guess, I don't know. I would be disappointed if I drafted him in the first round, mainly because you want them to be your highest scoring player, not, the 10th highest scoring running back.
Right.
Anything stick out to you as far as other running backs? Any?
No,
particular...
I'll give Al his flowers. He had talked about Pacheco all preseason. Pacheco's there at number 8, and so shout out to him. I didn't think anyone from Kansas City could be that prolific. I think they'd be just that spread out. Jet McKinnon's still getting his as well. Obviously, he's not going to be top 10, but it's good to see Pacheco breaking out and CEH being a full afterthought. That is kind of how last season ended, but with another offseason, you kind of never know how things might shake out. Zach Moss, I think, will fall off, not because of a lack of talent, just because they just paid JT. They're going to want JT on the field. And I do think we start to see the Barkleys and the Kamaras have a really good second half of the season. Like most fantasy experts always go off, average per game, versus what we're doing here is just total through 7 weeks. So looking at the average per game, it tells a better story. And that I think will influence a lot of fantasy teams for the rest of the season. So we're not seeing all the big names that we expect up here, like Eckler, Barkley, Kamara, but we'll see them up here by the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I will point out that I like, and in the top 10, 3 of the running backs are on my team. So shout out to me. Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, and Devon Achane. Thank you very much. So yeah, keep it up, team. Fresh orange slices after practice.
There we go. I'll go ahead. I'll go down the list of wide receivers here, Josh, since I won't make you talk the whole time. Top 10 wide receivers, of course, Tyreek Hill is going to be number 1. Most people suspected that. Even if, and JJ would probably be up there, had he not got his hamstring hurt. But Tyreek Hill is a freak of nature. He is the game breaker. So he's number 1. Then we got Diggs, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua. That's obviously a surprise for most people. But Tyreek, Diggs, and A.J. Brown are 3 first-round picks, if not early second, depending on, kind of how your league drafts. But Keenan Allen, he's a PPR monster. So kind of, do you take this from our league specifically? Yep. So Keenan Allen, he's number 5, and that's because of the PPR. He had that one, 12, 20 reception game, whatever it was. DJ Moore, I think, his ceiling was up here. I think most people agreed that his ceiling was this high. I thought his floor was also pretty dang low. So seeing him able to produce and be there at number 6, I say good for him. Adam Thielen, surprising a lot of people. That's definitely leading to a lot of success here in the first half of the fantasy season. Jamar Chase, he's been up and down, similar with Joe Burrow, but he had that one 45-point game. So that wasn't, an automatic win for you that week. Amon-Ra has been steady.
Not.
What's that? Oh, did you lose with that Jamar Chase week?
No, I beat the owner of the Jamar Chase that week.
Oh, don't need to get so sensitive, Josh. I was just, it's okay. It's not when I say, an automatic win, it's there's an exception to every rule. And then Devontae Adams, who, most people would say might be the best all-around receiver in the league, or at least, before JJ, got so good. He's at number 10 right now, so not as hot in fantasy, but that's a reflection of the Raiders being not so hot in real life. When you look at this, Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Adam Thielen in the 9th round, that's kind of the one that sticks out the most, just based on where they were drafted in our league. Everybody else is 4th round or earlier. I guess besides Puka Nacua, but somebody had to take over when Cooper Kupp went down. Sorting by average, Tyreek is still the top wide receiver at almost 27 points per game. Then it's Keenan Allen with 22, Stephon Diggs with 22, and then Justin Jefferson with 21, and AJ Brown with 21, and Adam Thielen still up there with 21. So not a whole lot of shifting around other than JJ, not being in the top 10 just because he'd been out for a couple weeks now. I feel like wide receivers this year have been more so consistent with their ADP than previous seasons, with the exception of like Jamar Chase, who you'd expect to be a top 3. He's still, top 10. But if you scroll outside the top 10, guys like Jacoby Myers, Nico Collins, those are the people that are going to be kind of the surprising pieces. So depending on where they got drafted or picked up, Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk is somebody that I've always talked highly of. He's having a solid year. But yeah, so I don't know. It feels like there's not a whole lot of shockers halfway through the season when it comes to wide receivers.
Right. And so, but I think, that's heavily informed by the fact that, that was another big talking point coming into the season. It's like, okay, let's look at all these, let's look at all these draft boards, all these ADPs. Justin Jefferson was, top of the ADP in a lot of leagues. He was, for years and years, Josh, as long as you and I have been playing fantasy football, at least it's always running back, and even just as far as last year's guillotine league and Brad's league, like it was all running backs and then receivers and then tight end. Travis Kelce, I got him at fucking 18 or 17 or whatever it was. So it's like there's certainly an old-fashioned mindset that is now finally starting to change, and we're seeing it reflected in the ADPs and within our own home leagues. But people are taking wide receivers because they've been more consistent statistically. This feeds into how draft boards are continuing to change. As you look at these numbers here, you're someone who for years have gone wide receiver heavy. You definitely were on the front end of that trend. Do numbers like these just reinforce what you're doing, and you're like, all right, now I'm for sure going to continue to go wide receiver heavy early in drafts just because they're more consistent, they're more reliable? Or do you try and sneak around the other way, and because everyone else is going receivers, now maybe next year you kind of go for running backs because the value will be there?
I guess it depends. I'm big into that value-based drafting. So yeah, I have been on that wide receiver train quite a while now. Even in standard leagues, I will take a wide receiver if it's like a Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, even Devontae Adams or CeeDee Lamb, who we didn't mention because he's having kind of a down year in that offense because the defense is so solid. I'd take those guys over, kind of the beginning of tier 2 running backs. Like I would take all of them over like Derrick Henry and I'm trying to scroll here, like Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard and even Saquon. I would take them over. So I think the only 2 running backs that would really strike my fancy would be CMC and Austin Eckler, just because we play in a PPR league and those guys are PPR monsters as well. But yeah, I'm definitely a wide receivers kind of guy.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think with obviously we have to wait until the end of the season. We're only halfway through the season. There's going to be playoffs and everything else. But I think looking at these numbers, taking a chance, taking a moment to sit here and actually reflect on what's happening versus just playing and setting your lineup week in and week out. It's like, all right, well, why did wide receivers go so heavy early in drafts this year? Well, based on what Josh and I are telling you, it's like, look at that. Out of these top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and basically 6. Amon-Ra was taken at the beginning of the second round. Like those 6 of the top 10 were all taken in the first round. Whereas for the running backs, it's only literally 1 right now. And of course, the other ones are banged up. But that comes with the position. Running back's the most hurt and most banged up position in fantasy. So it's like, why did you see that trend? Well, it's because running backs are unreliable, and you don't know who's going to be in the top 10. Whereas the wide receivers have been holding their value much more. And that's why you're going to see, going back to the quarterbacks, bringing it first full circle. They were taken in rounds 2 and round 3, but 4 of the top 5 quarterbacks were the first quarterbacks taken. And those teams, I know I have Josh Allen. I'm in first place in our league. I don't know who has Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson. I guess I can look real quick.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that Jamie has Jalen Hurts because she has the San Francisco 49ers in round 7 on my draft board. So
Sure. But yeah, and I guess actually this is interesting because I don't think Jamie, Hammer, or Eric are actually Eric's a top half team, right? Jamie and Hammer are struggling, I think, a bit more. So I guess that it kind of bucks the trend. But another point being, though, if wide receivers are going to go early and running backs are going to keep falling, those quarterbacks are going to be pushed up and up the draft board as well. I don't think it's too far fetched to say maybe next year we're seeing quarterbacks taken at the end of the first round, just based on ADP and everyone else's trend. And I think quarterbacks are at least the top, the bluest of chips, the bluest of blue quarterbacks. They're going to be taken for going back into the first round next year. I have a feeling. So
yeah. So Eric is actually 12th place.
Really?
Yeah. So
who am I mistaking? Oh, I think I'm mistaking him for Willie.
Willie,
I'm making up the team names. Okay,
yeah.
so that's
So I'm
interesting.
looking at this right now, and I can't even find Hammer. Is he even in the league, or is he that bad?
Isn't he? He's BQ, right?
Oh, there he is. Yeah, so he's tied with me. So yeah, so he's the only one that outside of you that would currently be in the playoffs right now, based on where they drafted their quarterback, like in the top 3-4 rounds.
Right. And obviously a lot of that comes down to luck and how the rest of your draft works out. A quarterback isn't going to singularly carry your team, right? And that's why some people argue on waiting. But it's working out for me and for Hammer. So I guess the point just being, if running backs can continue to fall, other positions are going to continue to rise. We're seeing it with the receivers this year. Next year, I think we'll see more quarterbacks in round 2, maybe even round 1. So
let's talk about positions that matter. Let's go to kickers.
All right. What do you got?
I don't care, honestly.
I thought you had a whole bit prepared. But I see you have one more thing on the note sheet here, Josh. We're already a little bit over where we normally are. But we're doing kind of a different show. It's kind of a mid-season check-in, so we can go a little long today. Fuck it. I don't think the Land recorded last week. They might not record this week. The people need to listen to podcasts, and we're here to take up the space. So we've got one more segment here. We can go a little bit long today, unless you have somewhere to be. But you want to get into your Gar's gut here?
Yeah, this is a segment that you've rolled around in the mud with for a while, as they say. And so we're gonna go with Gar's gut. This came to me when I was doing some dishes earlier, and I was just like, you know what, this is actually kind of a good idea, because we always joke about players and how they just are goofy goofers. And Gar's gut, it may be a one-off depending on reaction and how it goes, but I'm going to give you some player names, and you can already probably see them on the note sheet. And you're going to tell me what you think their favorite snack is based on their performance at this point through the season. And then I'll tell you what the right answer is. So, Gar, we're going to go with the quarterbacks of our division, the NFC North. What kind of a snack is Jared Goff? Or what's his favorite snack?
Jared Goff. I mean, he's pretty bland. He was the number 1 overall pick. He went to a Super Bowl, but he got kicked out of L.A., I don't know. I guess for me, mostly sweets. Sweets came to mind, so I think I'm going candy heavy, except for because I did see the list before. But he gave me he's not the worst candy bar, but he's not a good one. Even sticking with the color scheme, I think he's a bit of an almond joy. There's a lot of coconut there. Coconut's not everyone's thing. There is chocolate, that's redeemable, but then there's an almond, which is the fucking, the tree bark of nuts. He's not even a Mounds, which is, without the almond. He's an almond joy. I think that fits Jared Goff perfectly. Not the worst, but certainly not the most appetizing.
See that? Yeah, that's actually pretty spot on. I didn't go with candy. I went with dried fruit. It's it's fruit. It's got sugar in it, but it's dried. It's it's solid every once in a while, but a banana chip just does not.
That was literally what just came to my mind, Josh. I could give this man a banana chip, not the chocolate covered banana chips, mind you, not the ones we were getting from that. That
he is a banana
Cambridge.
chip, because it's he'll give you some a few moments of happiness and joy, but then you're just sitting there why am I eating banana chips? So Jared Goff is a banana chip in my mind.
There we go. I love that. All right, we got an almond joy and a banana chip. What was the next one, Josh?
The next one is a quarterback that is on the trajectory of being run out of town one week or being run into the Hall of Fame the next. We're talking Jordan Love.
Josh, you're not gonna like this one, and I try and stay as unbiased as I can for the fans. I try and stay, or I try to stay unbiased as I can for the show, and have some integrity. But today, Josh, we're doing this one for the homers, the Vikings truthful. Jordan Love is a fucking Toblerone, and you know it.
Toblerone. I don't even know if I've ever had a Toblerone, so I
exactly.
don't even know if I should be offended.
You've seen the triangle shape, you're intrigued, you see the mountains on the packaging, you're like, okay, this could be something, and then you're like, nah, I don't want it.
See, now when I thought Jordan Love and what kind of a snack he is, he is to me just your generic trail mix. So raisins, peanuts.
Okay. I've got a whole box of individual packs right next to me here, actually.
And it's like, because, when you reach in, if you're not paying attention and kind of shifting it around to get the things that you really want, the M&Ms and the chocolate chips, like normal people.
Yeah.
When you just reach in randomly, you don't know what you're going to get. So one week you may just get, a handful of raisins and peanuts and just sit there and go, gross. And then the next week you might get, a handful of the good stuff. To me, Jordan Love is just generic trail mix.
Okay, I can respect that. I think that's a good observation. Hopefully he's more raisins and peanuts as his career goes on for the Vikings' sake, but
shut up. Next we have Kirk Cousins.
All right, and so I see in your notes here, like, I know I have two different answers, Josh. I have based on his personality, that's what I originally thought with, but then your notes say, what I think their favorite snack is based on their performance. Obviously, Kirk is pretty good. He's not elite, but he's pretty good. So am I basing this on his performance? Because I have an answer prepared for each.
You can do both, just because we don't, if we continue with this kind of bit in the future, we don't know if we're going to know the personality of some of the players that I pick and choose, because I may not use the quarterbacks. I may use, some running back or wide receivers from teams that we don't know as much about. But
all right. Well, I'll keep it quick then. For personality,
you can do both.
Yeah, for personality, he is none other than jet puffed marshmallow cream, dude. That is his personality snack. He opens up a jar, sticks a spoon in, and Kirk Cousins just loves that fucking marshmallow cream. So his personality is jet puffed. But if I have to give a snack based on his performance, again, I've kept it in the Cammy realm mostly for these guys. It's like, he's a Snickers, because Snickers satisfies. He's not himself when he's hangry, so sometimes he obviously must forget to eat a Snickers. Against the Bears, he clearly was lacking that Snickers, but Snickers satisfies. He's a good QB, not a great QB. Can dabble into great, can dabble into garbage. He's a Snickers.
I mean, yeah, Snickers. Snickers is a top 3 candy of all time, so I don't know if I'd give him that.
If that's your opinion, that's fine. I disagree.
Well,
and I love me a Snickers. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of candy. If you want to say top 3 chocolate bars, maybe, but there's a lot more candy that isn't chocolate.
Okay, yeah, no, I apologize, listener.
Yeah.
I apologize, Mom. I did generalize candy as all of it. I should have said the best, top 3 candy bar based with chocolate, chocolate-based candy bar.
Maybe.
You're wrong. Kirk Cousins and the snack that he is actually. So this is going to be an insult, I'm sure, to a lot of people that are thin-skinned snowflake Gen Zers. But he's a saltine cracker, and you know it.
Based on his, but Josh, you literally said in your notes their favorite snack based on their performance. Kirk Cousins is a top 10 QB. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, saltine guard. Now listen to my reasoning. He's a saltine cracker because you look at it, you're sitting there and you're just like, this just looks so bland, so boring. But then you eat one, and you're like, okay, this is all right. This is pretty good. Then you eat another.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah, no, saltine crackers. I love them. We have them on hand.
I would say, to be fair, I buy saltines a lot. I do genuinely enjoy saltines a lot.
But they're just one of those things that it's like, you have them. You have them and they're there. They may not be your first choice all the time, but when you do decide to go with it, it's a solid choice.
I can see that. Yeah,
Kirk Cousins is a saltine cracker.
I agree.
Now, Al's probably over there throwing a fit right into, his pen pals in, I don't know, Notre Dame. I don't know, doing whatever because I insulted his quarterback and called him a saltine. But saltines are a reliable snack with minimal ingredients. Sure, they may give you a little bit of slippery hands and you drop them a little bit, but he's a saltine.
I'm with you, Josh. I'll add just one more spin, and we can move on to the last NFC North quarterback. But
If you say peanut butter saltine, you're wrong.
No. I was going to say saltine. I'll ride with you on saltine if we're staying salty. If we go to the sweet side of that equation, Kirk Cousins is a graham cracker.
Yeah, that works.
All right. And last but not
off-brand graham cracker. But
sure,
yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. Graham crackers.
Last
graham
but not
cracker,
least, the consensus number 1 quarterback in the NFC North going into the season, the consensus number 5 quarterback as we're at this point in the season, Justin Fields.
I don't know why, Josh. Some people love these things. I don't particularly care for them. But the first thing and the only thing that's coming to mind for me is Cracker Jacks. He's a fucking Cracker Jack.
That might be racist.
What? How is that racist?
I don't know.
They're caramel and they're nuts, dude. Caramel corn and nuts.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, he's a protein shake because nobody in their right mind would say a protein shake is a good snack. And
come on, there's some good flavors out there.
But they're quick and easy to use. They're quick and easy. He's pretty quick, and he's easy. You know, he's. They need to give him an easy game plan. Throw the ball to number 1 or 2, DJ Moore. But he doesn't fit the kind of stereotypical snack profile.
All right,
so
I feel that, and if I'm gonna yes and you, so I feel that because if you like, especially if you're doing it on your own, you're doing powder with water or milk, you mix it up and you do it right and you drink it right away. That's fine. But similar to Justin Fields, if you're not using Justin Fields in the right situation, maybe you let him linger or whatever, that blender bottle gets nasty as shit, and we've seen some nasty as shit performances out of Justin Fields as well. So I can make that analogy work just fine.
Bingo. So yeah, Justin Fields in my eyes, he's a protein shake.
I'll allow it.
He can be delicious. He could be good. Odds are you forgot him in the back seat of your car for 3 weeks while you're up in Duluth in the summertime and there's no AC, and you find it and you're like, oh, why is it something in there moving? I don't remember. And then you open it and the next thing you know, you're got a hazmat suit on and you're being carted, or somebody with a hazmat suit is carting you into the hospital.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, and I'll do a little product plug. I wish I got commission on this, but I don't. But for that exact problem, because people might not believe it, and I don't even believe it most of the time. But I used to go to the gym once upon a time, and I was buying the protein powder, and I had the blender bottle. And as soon as I saw this product on Shark Tank, it's been my only water bottle of choice since. It's the Ice Shaker. It comes from the Gronk family. It's mainly spearheaded by Chris Gronk. Christopher, or Christian, I don't know, maybe Christopher? I'm not sure. Anyways, Chris Gronkowski. He was Chrysanthemum. He was a fullback in the NFL, and there's like 5 or 4 Gronk brothers total. But the Ice Shaker, it's a stainless steel water bottle / blender bottle, and it's that's how you kind of reduce those smells, and it's a nice, easy clean. It's a great product. So if people are out there to this day, and I don't know too many people that are rocking the protein powder like we used to in our gym phases, but Ice Shaker is a great product. It's a metal bottle. You don't run into all that same stuff you would with a plastic bottle. So shout out to the Ice Shaker from the Gronkowski family.
Yeah, no, that's Gar's gut. I think that maybe we can, bring it back a little bit here and there. I don't know, maybe not a weekly thing, but who knows? Maybe that takes over the rhyming wrap up in the future. We'd love to hear from our fan, what they say. But we'll wrap it up here because I need a snacky. All this food talk made me hungry.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the hog market bit. I'm sure you really enjoy the rhyming wrap up when it comes together, but creatively doing the same thing every week, it gets really tough. The hood lines, I got burnt out on that last year, and sometimes it's just doing the same thing week after week. It can be tough to put together. So that's why we had to take a bit of a break, a bit of a bye, if you will. We still put a show, like we're still here to put on a show for you guys, but sometimes we got to switch it up so we can get through it, right? So we appreciate you hanging with us, and if you like Gar's Gut, or if you like us just sit here talking about ADPs and stats and stuff, that's fine. Otherwise, next week I plan on bringing back the hog market. We'll buy and sell again, but you can only buy and sell so many times. There's only so many players to cycle through, so I had to take at least a break for a week. And I'm sure similar to you, there's only so many rhymes you can make, so many times you can dunk on a bad team. So it's just kind of the way she goes. Oh, well, Josh, I'd say that's about it. Is there anything else you want to hit in here, or do you just want to hit your Go Packers and leave so you can get your... What's the snack you're going to get? Maybe let the people know. We've been talking a lot about snacks here. What's Josh's snack based on his performance?
My snack based on my performance, probably sugar-free Jell-O.
Okay. And what about the snack based on what you think your performance is?
Sodium-free saltine.
Okay. One more time. What snack are you gonna eat?
Probably gonna go get some Kemp's cookies and cream ice cream, and then drop a handfulsies of Chalky Chippies on top.
That sounds so fucking good, dude. Oh, I'm jelly. I am peanut butter and jealous, dude.
The last few nights I've had that on top of Marie Callender's apple pie.
Oh my god. Do you warm up the apple pie?
I'm American, aren't I?
All right, well, I just want to make sure. Yeah, I appreciate you're going with the ice cream and you're not doing the cheese on top of the slice of apple pie like you're fucking Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black. I'll never understand the cheese on pie bit, but it's popular with the subsect of weird people. Anyways, Josh, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the people for listening. We normally do a half an hour during the football season. We're up to 45 minutes, and I'm going to hit the outro song now. But we love you, and we'll be back on Saturday morning. Saturday morning should be back to a normal show, unless we want to do something different. Saturday will also be the day of Jesse's wedding, so shout out to that. Josh, now you will be there, but we can talk about that more on Saturday. Jesse also...
It's also Asher's birthday.
It is also Asher's birthday, and I'll be missing a bunch of Halloween parties. Jesse was very inconsiderate when he picked his wedding date, you know?
His second wedding.
That's, well, easy. Not everyone knows, Josh. Keep that on the down low on Saturday, huh?
Okay, that just ruined my entire outfit.
What's your outfit going to be? Deja vu or something?
No, I was just going to wear a giant sign that says, "Thanks for the invite to your second wedding, jackass."
Oh, fuck. All right. I don't even know if you said Go Packers yet, so you've got like 30 seconds. There it is. Oh, fuck. I enjoyed today's show. I don't know what the fans are going to think, but for me, I felt good.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So I'm looking at this, and so you want me to look at the... Did you do anything special for the rankings or the...
No,